Is that what justifies their price increases? Is the status that they have? I don't know, because I think if middle class people do stop buying Chanel, like they kind of have to stop because most people can't afford it anymore. Hey guys, welcome to my channel. I'm Jess. Today I want to discuss the topic of whether luxury brands are only now gonna target their things towards millionaires only, because it seems like brands like Chanel and Hermes are really becoming out of reach for the common folk or the middle class kind of person. Unless you're earning six figures, it is going to be hard to afford to buy these kind of designer bags endlessly every year, particularly when the prices have gone up so much. And I know there are hundreds of videos on YouTube about Chanel price increase, but yes, it is indeed rumored again that according to Persbob, Chanel may increase prices again in 2024 despite the record level revenue. Can you believe it, guys? I mean, at this point, I don't think we're surprised. For me, I as somebody who I feel like falls into not rich, I'm not a multi-millionaire yet. I would say I used to be able to comfortably afford to buy Chanel bags from the store. I remember back in 2018, I bought a Chanel mini for $4,000, which was a lot of, I still think that is a huge amount of money. And yeah, it's only been a few years, guys, so that is a huge amount of money. Now the Chanel Mini, the current price of the Chanel Mini in any case is $8,580. So it's more than double what I paid for it in 2018. And it just seems like back then, I wouldn't have paid $8,000 for, I was obsessed with Chanel, guys. You know, I've been really into fashion from a young age. I guess when I was 12, I wanted to be a fashion designer. I studied fashion and, you know, I love watching runway shows, all that. Typical story. And I was hypnotized by the Chanel dream, you know, the marketing in the magazines. I feel like, to be honest, I try and think back to like the 90s when I was like 6 years old, and I'm trying to remember if Chanel was a cool thing to wear, because for me, I feel like it wasn't as cool to wear designer brands in like the 90s. Am I wrong, guys? I know that during like the 2000s, you used to see a lot more celebrities wearing like Chanel and Louis Vuitton, and it became a thing to aspire to, particularly because of TV shows like, I don't know, what is it, Newlyweds, where Jessica Simpson was like wearing Louis Vuitton, or like, you know, Paris Hilton, that kind of like celebrities wearing designer things. But I don't know if wearing designer things was like a thing to look up to during the 90s. Let me know if I'm wrong, because I feel like this whole glorification of designer brands is a modern day thing that could change again. It might not be as cool to wear designer brands in the coming years. Why would it become cool anymore? Well, when I was growing up, I didn't aspire to buy a Chanel bag, guys. Like, I'm talking like when I was 12, right? Which I don't know if that's the case now, that 12-year-olds are aspiring to buy Chanel bags, but I would say that movies like the Barbie movie do kind of brainwash young girls to want to buy Chanel at a young age. And also, you know, like pop groups like Blackpink, you know, Jennie wearing Chanel. It does encourage younger girls to get into designer brands at an earlier age. And I know when I was a really young girl, I don't know if I can't remember whether fashion brands were drummed into my subconscious at a young age. I don't think that they were, and I don't think that it was something to like aspire to necessarily, to buy designer brands. In fact, it was kind of daggy to look rich. Like, I didn't want to look like Richie Rich. I didn't want to look like a rich old lady. I wanted to look like a cool surfer girl. I wanted to look like, I don't know, like a rock star or something. I mean, even if you think of like the Spice Girls, I know that Victoria Beckham wore like a little black Gucci dress, but it was hardly like, most people wouldn't know that was a Gucci dress, right? And a lot of what the Spice Girls wore didn't look designer to me. It was just fun, and like they were like cool. But these days, when you look at pop stars, I don't know, like for example Blackpink, they're all decked out in designer brands, Celine, Chanel, Dior, and that's something that young girls look to, and it's become cool to wear designer brands. But I don't think it always was. And I have a feeling, guys, this is just a theory, I think that brands like Hermes and Chanel are really trying to go back to the old times where it was only millionaires buying their stuff. It was only people who were really wealthy, and it was not mainstream to buy luxury. It was something that, you know, you had to be in the know, or you had to have the money to buy it. Now, can this be possible? Can designer brands just hold on to that group of really rich clientele and now alienate that middle class kind of bracket. Because I feel like it's got to a point now with Chanel and their price increases that literally if you are not earning like $1 million, how the hell are you supposed to afford it? I mean, you could be earning at least maybe a few $100,000, but even then you might want to invest your money into property or something else to grow your wealth more. It's got to a point where, I don't know if I'm being dramatic here, guys, but like, even for example, Hermes, I know that the bags were always expensive, but to buy a Birkin or Kelly, it is said you need to pre-spend and maybe spend double, triple the amount of the bag to buy the bag. And if you think about that, like a Birkin might be 20,000, so you might have to spend like 40, 50, 60,000 in total just to get one bag. And a middle class person wouldn't be able to do that, guys. One, because they're probably trying to invest into other things, and two, maybe they just simply don't earn enough. And you really need to be a millionaire in this day and age sometimes to buy these top tier luxury brands. Especially now that the prices are getting so ridiculously high. And I do think that Chanel is literally just trying to capture that market and change their image so it is not as mainstream. But at the same time, if you think about what they are doing in the mainstream media, being a part of the Barbie movie, as I said before, kind of making some bags for that movie and making it more visible to the masses. Or, for example, having Jennie from Blackpink as the brand ambassador. Now, I don't know if she is anymore, to be honest. I haven't seen her wearing Chanel lately, but that is targeting a mass market. But at the same time, I also think that it is brainwashing young girls who could grow up to be millionaires to aspire to buy Chanel. So they are still thinking about the future. They are still targeting young people, but they're not necessarily trying to make their brand accessible to the everyday person. And I think that is frustrating for most people because, they also, a lot of people obviously, like myself, are saying, like, why should Chanel be this expensive? Because the quality is not up to standard, for sure, if you compare to vintage bags. If you even compare to bags from like 2018 compared to now, it's not the same. But to be honest, at this point, it has nothing to do with the quality. It's all got to do with what the brand stands for. And basically, if they want to be a brand that is purchased by people who are rich, and it is a status symbol at this point. And it's for people who, belong to that club and that level of wealth. And is that something that you necessarily want to be part of? Actually, I think that is very cringe, and it's actually not cool to aspire to something like that. And a lot of people who are, younger and a little bit more savvy wouldn't necessarily aspire to look like a rich person, I don't think, because it's just a very superficial, money is not everything, right, in life. Money doesn't make you cool. I mean, it can make you buy a lot of fun things. It can make you go on a holiday, but actually sometimes what makes you cool is like, I don't know, creating cool art or music or something that makes you, or even like, maybe you just look cool, like things like that. There are a lot of things that money can't buy that I think people are starting to crave more than ever. Anyways, I just have a lot of thoughts about this, and I also I saw a picture today. I was scrolling my Instagram and I was thinking, is it cool to wear Chanel anymore? Like, are they really just trying to make it for super rich people and try and make it less visible to the middle class? But I actually saw like Lana Del Rey. She was accepting an award and she was wearing a Chanel earrings and necklace. And obviously Lana Del Rey is very successful. And if you're like a millennial like me, maybe you listened to her 10 years ago, maybe you still listen to her today as well. And I've seen her pop up a lot on my social media lately, but she was, decked out wearing Chanel. And I thought, you know what? I think Chanel is a brand that people will always aspire to buy because it is so drummed into our brains from a young age. If you think about even Lana Del Rey wearing Chanel earrings, like her wearing those earrings is a symbol maybe of her success, and it's glamorous, and also everything that the fashion house stands for. But is it relevant today? I don't know anymore, guys. Like, it feels like that logo, is it getting old? Is it overplayed? Does it still hold the same magic that it has for the last, decade? Or is it going to get to a point where that logo becomes less relevant, especially because of all the fakes that are being produced that are said to be just as good quality as the real thing, if not better? I do think that these luxury brands are going to have a different effect or a different perception in the future because of fakes as well, and how people won't settle for bad quality as well. but is it really just a symbol of being like a rich, successful person? Is that what they can profit off? Is that what justifies their price increases? Is the status that they have? I don't know, because I think if middle class people do stop buying Chanel, like they kind of have to stop, because most people can't afford it anymore, I would say, unless you, I don't know, like stingy out on other things in your life. But nobody wants to buy luxury, like really stinging out on everything in their life. In particular, I think that most people wouldn't be able to comfortably afford a Chanel bag as much as maybe they did, you know, a few years ago. And so that will alienate that client. But is that a bad thing? And are rich people even still going to be interested in buying Chanel? Because I think, like, maybe yes, there is a small part of us that still wants to hold on to that dream, that maybe that idea that we had of Chanel, you know, maybe before we saw it become oversaturated and played out on social media. Anyways, I just had a lot of thoughts today, but let me know, do you think it's still going to be cool to wear Chanel despite the price increases, or is it getting a bit like cringe? Because yeah, I don't know. I see it on a lot of celebrities. Even Billie Eilish I see wearing Chanel, and I'm like, is it cool actually to wear Chanel? Because to me, I'm over it, to be honest, but that's just how I feel. So yeah, I'd love to know your thoughts. Yeah. Anyways, thanks for listening to my bloody video today, and I'll talk to you guys on my next one. Bye!